Good morning, YouTube. This is Heiko, again working on my beloved VW bus. 1977 is the year, so considered a bay window. Oh, there's the window. I did so much work on this bus, and unfortunately I didn't take any videos of it. A couple pictures here and there, but that's pretty much it. Did suspension work, lowered the front, lowered the rear a little bit, just a little bit, 2.5 inches. Put new CV joints on it. I replaced all the rubber fuel line for some steel fuel line. That's probably gonna keep me from having a engine fire in the future. What else did I do? Lots of things. Nothing comes to mind. Oh yeah, fuel filter, of course. Engine oil change. I put a small extension on the sump, so now I have 1/2 quart more oil in the engine, and the point where the oil gets sucked into the oil pipe there in the oil pickup is a little lower. I also modified the valve train a little bit. I put swivel foot adjusters into the rocker arms instead of using the stock solid adjusters. I now have kind of a modified version of that, made in Germany. Porsche has been doing this on Porsche VW engines for decades, or they did that already in the 70s. It's an upgrade, supposedly reduces wear on the valve stem and the valve guides. Did that, also a bunch of things. It's running really well. I already put 1,200 miles on it since I did that modification. Tightened up a couple of bolts, had a alignment done after I lowered the suspension here on the bus. I bled the brakes in the front. I cleaned up a couple things, greased the front axle, changed a steering coupler. Changed the steering coupler on the steering column, which is a rubber piece. Again, my garage is still have the old one lying around. At least I can show you that. So this is the old one, 36 years old, or 38 years old actually. And lots of cracks in it. It's still solid, but it's rock hard. I mean, it doesn't feel like rubber anymore, and it's cracked all over the place. So this would have just been a few more years and it would have come apart probably while I'm driving, and that would have been a catastrophic failure. That's pretty much losing steering while you're driving along. That cannot be good. To get to it's pretty easy actually. At the bottom of the steering column in the cabin, there's a little steel cover that's held in place by 2 little sheet metal screws. Take that off and you look right at this coupler, and then there are 4 bolts in there, a couple of washers, and a ground wire that you have to put back in there. Was really easy to replace. Definitely recommending doing that. I also just recently posted a video of my H4 headlights. Those are made by Bosch. You can also get them made by Hella. Doesn't really make a difference. It's all the same. Costs about $50 a pair, and it's the greatest single most important upgrade you can do on a old air-cooled VW, because the light output of those is so much better, and they are even DOT approved. I mean, at least for motorcycles, but who cares? Cops really don't know the difference anyways, and it says DOT on it, and that's good enough for me. And opposite direction traffic hasn't complained, and there are 55 watt H4 light bulbs in there. Perfect. What I'm working on right now is here in this fresh air intake. You can see that I took this little cover off, and there's also a plastic leaf guard under that. And here in this space are usually 2 big flaps that are controlled by the blue lever on your dashboard to let cold air in while you're driving along. I took those flaps off, actually repainting them right now. I'm debating whether or not I want to leave them in primer gray, since they are not exposed to UV ray really. I don't know if I want to just leave them that way, because that's how they came from the factory as well. They were just primered, not painted at all. And then I will use some weather stripping, the type of foam weather stripping that you can buy at Home Depot, to give those flaps a new sealing surface. Because function is, when they're open, let air through. When they're closed, here on this little lip that you can see here, they're supposed to seal against it. Originally, they had just a piece of foam glued to the flap, and that foam, of course, over the last 38 or 39 years has completely deteriorated. It's not even there anymore. So I'm replacing that with weather stripping, which hopefully lasts a couple of years. And as I was cleaning that all out, I found a little bit of flaking paint right there in the corner. That must have been a little production, problem when they were painting those buses. Getting into those tight corners can be pretty tough. After 38 years, 39 years actually, getting in there and having just a little bit of paint flaking off. It was not even rusting. So now I'm just going to treat it against rust, then put some POR 15 on there, and then do some touch-up paint. It's going to be behind the cover anyways. Nobody will ever see it except me. So it kind of has to look nice because, I know it's there, but I will also not overdo it really. So those little corners there, cleaned it up with a Dremel, with a wire wheel on the Dremel, cleaned it up really nicely. When I do touch-up paint, I always try to do it really to a high standard. I use materials that they would use in a paint shop as well. This here, it's kind of like a Scotch-Brite pad, but it's really fine. So you're really just roughing up the surface, even the painted area around it. So if you put any paint on, it actually will stick to your old paint as well. And then I use a degreaser to really get all the grease and grime off of it, and then wash it down with water, and then degrease it again, and then wash it again with water, and then scrub it again with that little scrubby pad, and clean it up really, really nicely so you don't have any adhesion problems of the paint. Because what does the repair help me if it only lasts for a year? If I don't look behind this cover for the next 5 years, I don't want rust to start